appropriate to prevent, pavement buckling.
That is IDOT's Paul Wappel saying high temperatures means drivers need to be prepared and alert for the road
A
buckling.
lot of the time, they're not too difficult to fix because we just trim off some of the top of the road that buckled up and then smooth it out, and it's good to go. But sometimes we have to do some more work, and that takes a little longer.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia expected to be released from jail in Tennessee only to be taken into immigration custody. The Salvadoran national who was mistakenly deported became a flashpoint in the fight over President Trump's immigration policies. He's been in jail since he was ordered returned to the U.S. June 7th. His wife, Jennifer Vasquez Sura, says she's not giving up hope.
Instead of celebrating our love surrounding by families, I'm here. Yet I'm not alone.
St. Charles needs more hotel rooms. KMOX has reported on the parking problem at events as at the St. Charles Convention Center continues to grow in size. Now Mayor Dan Borgmeyer says they need about 1,000 more hotel rooms because there's something happening every weekend in St. Charles, and he expects that to keep growing. He says many existing hotels in St. Charles have expansion plans, and they're talking to developers of major brands to build a big box hotel. It's the largest peach crop ever. Eckert's Farm says it's nearly double the peach crop from last year. Pick Your Own Peaches opened Saturday at the Belleville Farm. And you may want to just prepare for the heat.
Sunshine and building clouds, hot and humid this afternoon. Watch out for a thunderstorm in places later this afternoon and this evening, the high 96. Patchy clouds, warm and sticky overnight, low just 79. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 12:03 and it's 90 degrees with partly sunny skies. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer. And by Anderson Hospital, a Newsweek World's Best Hospital. Now, the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Woo, we got a fun show today with Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. Cardinals beat the Cubs again, one of the best games of the year. Matt Pajeski's our producer, along with Frank Ladd. A couple of KMOXers, former KMOXers coming on, Ranj. Bob Costas and Chris Kerber on the show today.
My man. Let's go. Let's get Joe Buck on, too.
Yeah, let's get Joe.
Let's get them all on.
Bob's at 12:15. Curbs at 12:45. Maybe Joe can do the 12:30 hit. I didn't
There
ask
you
him.
go.
We'll get him another show. What a game last night. I mean, again, the Cardinals get the job done. And the play that sticks in my mind is the sac fly RBI by Alec Burleson, in which Mason Wynn is waved home by Pop Warner from second base because Pete Crow Armstrong, we were just talking about what a great center fielder he is, has a lapse in whatever was going through his mind and kind of twirls around in center field like the inning is over, and Wynn just goes all the way home as he forgot apparently how many outs there were.
Yeah, which does happen. It's amazing that it does. And we were talking to John Rooney about this, that, with all the games you play, all the innings, at some point, a thing like that is going to happen, right? Like you're going to have a mental lapse. But on the other hand, you're a professional athlete, and it is your job to be locked in at all times. Maybe it's unrealistic to expect guys to be locked in at all times, but the expectation is still there. And it's amazing the Cardinals were able to capitalize on it in such a big way that, scoring from second base on that is just not typical. It has happened. Stuff like that has happened before. There have been those infield doubles before, So weird plays happen. So just really good work on the part of Mason Wynn and on the part of Pop Warner to be on top of that play. And it ended up being the difference, Tom. That was it.
Ended up being the winning run.
Maybe they lose that game if that doesn't happen.
Cardinals didn't score a run after that fourth inning. They end up winning the game 8-7. They got out hit in this game 13-10. This is a wild kind of Wrigley-like game where there's a ton of scoring and just some strange stuff going on. But what a game. What a performance by Mason, actually. He ends up with 2 hits, 4 RBIs, hits a home run, scores twice. And the defense by Burleson makes a sliding catch, then makes a catch into the netting amazing catch to get Swanson. And Arenado with a Cooperstown-like play at the end, barehanding the chopper and firing to first just in time to get that final out and have the Cardinals victorious. Those are 2 statement wins by the Cardinals. Really nice.
And you know what? At worst, what happens is they leave this series in the same position as when they entered it, as opposed to, because it's what we talked about before the series started on Monday. We talked about what you need to have happen here. And obviously, the thing you could not afford is to get swept. You really don't want to lose 3 or 4, because then you're talking about being back, about 6.5 games in the division, which that's not good. I know you're still in a playoff race here, and the wild card is still in play, but you don't want to fall too far behind the division leader before you get to the end of June, and then having to play them again in a couple of weeks. They're going to play 4th of July weekend. So at minimum here, they will leave the series about the way they found it, right? So that to me is the good news, and they have an opportunity to gain some ground. Right now, 2.5 games back. If they even split the next 2 games, you're still 2.5 games behind the Cubs, which means you're firmly in a race right now. I know we're not halfway through the season yet, but to be at about the halfway point or getting there and being 2.5 games behind the Cubs, who I picked to win the division, I didn't expect them to be this close. I just didn't. So, I thought maybe first month or 2, because it's the beginning of the season, you never know what can happen. But the more games you play, I thought more distance would be created. This was before the season. That's different now. It's changed now. They are firmly in it. How long does this last? I don't know. But right now, they're there.
You got to keep pace with the Brewers, who are playing the Pirates.
That's true, too.
And then watch out for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, here they are. They've now won 3 in a row. They just won another game against the Yankees. They're only 4.5 out, 2 games behind the Cardinals and the Brewers. So it is a 4-team race in the National League Central. The Cubs have let people back in. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Mariners. Now they've lost the first 2 to the Cardinals. And they play tonight at Busch Stadium, which will be roasting hot, but everybody's got to play in it. And the Cardinals are playing better than the Cubs right now. It is a lot of fun, without a doubt. And we'll see what they end up doing lineup-wise. I think there's some decent depth there, even with the loss of Herrera. And they sat Walker yesterday, decided to go with an outfield of Nootbaar in left, Scott in center, Burleson in right. We'll see what they end up doing here tonight. Donovan was at second, Winn at short. This is a strong lineup. Contreras at first. Arenado was playing over at third. And Nolan Gorman with a home run that might get overlooked a little bit because it didn't end up being the winner, and it happened in the middle of the game. But, man, he leads off the 4th inning with a solo shot to tie the game. This is a different Nolan Gorman that we're seeing here. A big-time home run there, big time. And the Cardinals are getting key hits out of him. It is really good to see. Not only that, he had 3 hits in the game. Guy was 3 for 4 yesterday. So this is a Cardinals team that is really, really coming together here, and it's a lot of fun to see.
So we've been talking about him getting an opportunity lately. When he's gotten an opportunity, he has taken advantage of it. And that's all he can do, because you're not going to get the everyday reps. There just isn't a place for him, or they're not going to create a place for him to do that. I don't know if they should or they will ever revisit that, but in the month of June, he's got a 992 OPS, which, again, we're not talking about a ton of at-bats, but it's indicating that this month, every time he's gotten an opportunity, he has really, really performed. And that's what you have to do if you get limited time. It sucks. Not a great situation to be in if you're a young player and you're trying to establish yourself, but it doesn't seem like he has much of a choice. So he has to perform, and he's doing it.
And Nick is asking about Walker, and the other thing is happening there, where Walker is taking some steps back offensively and defensively, if we're being quite frank. So, I don't know. I don't know what it means for Walker. They're going to continue to watch him, but they're not going to, if they're in the race, the runway will always be there. It's not going to run out necessarily, but I think Ollie Marmol put it pretty simply yesterday.
Yeah.
When approaching that situation, it's not easy for him. It hasn't been easy. So we'll continue to watch and monitor that. When we come back, we're going to be visited by Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Costas. A little bit later, the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, at 12:45. Yep. They've been in the news quite a bit here over the last 24 hours or so. Much more to come. The Cardinals and the Cubs in St. Louis. This is good stuff. Back in a moment. The Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Since we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see and hear lots of lawyer ads. It seems that most are bragging on what they got their clients. But be careful. If you heard that someone sold their car for $500,000, you would be impressed. But if you later learned that it was a rare $10 million Ferrari, would you say that person got screwed? And that's before you even know if it's true. Who is fact-checking? And how much went to medical bills and lawyers' fees? If you want to get an idea what your case may be really worth, visit forthepeople.com and go to Settlements and Verdicts. You will see what a law firm like ours is capable of. And fact-check for yourself. All that glitters is not gold. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. We won big, a lot. At Morgan & Morgan, we represent consumers. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Hey St. Louis, this is Ben Barnett, board certified master arborist with Timberline Professional Tree Care. In my nearly 30 years in the industry, I've seen firsthand what damage falling trees can do to your property. The sad thing is that most trees that fail have defects that can be identified by a well-trained certified arborist. At Timberline, we have 7 ISA certified arborists, 3 of which have gone through extensive training and testing to become tree risk assessment qualified. Our track certified arborists can perform a thorough assessment of your tree and provide mitigation options for your peace of mind. If there's nothing wrong with your tree, we will let you know that it poses a low risk of failure. If it needs to be removed, we'll tell you in a detailed written report. It's all about honesty and integrity here at Timberline Professional Tree Care, so call us today to get a tree risk assessment scheduled, 636-479-7475, or contact us through our website at stltreecare.com.
A rivalry renewed.
Molina hits it high and deep left center field. Back to the track, the wall. Goddard, tie game in the ninth. One pitch from Kimbrough and Molina ties the game. Unbelievable. 8-8 at Wrigley Field.
Cards, Cubs, tonight. 104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of baseball.
It's the Gashouse Gang on KMOX with Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. We are pleased to bring in Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Costas, who I am certain respects the name the Gashouse Gang on this very program. How are you, Bob? Great to have you.
I'm good, Tom. How you doing?
Doing well. I wanted to bring you on for a number of reasons, but this actually caught my eye. You did not ask me to do this. I asked you, because I got an email and a text from Mind's Eye about the Beat Baseball World Series coming to St. Louis. And I thought that this was such a neat thing, and then I found out that you lent your voice to the cause, not only because it's close to your heart, but because you have a long affiliation with Mind's Eye. You were a personal friend of its founder.
Yeah, Father Bonnie Wittenbrink at Our Lady of the Snows in Belleville did a lot of work with people who either were vision impaired or technically blind. And somehow I made his acquaintance in the late 1970s, early 80s, did some voiceover work. If you have a recognizable voice and someone's a sports fan, let's say, and have sight problems, hearing that voice read that week's edition of Sports Illustrated or whatever it is, I guess is something that's very meaningful, and it's an easy thing to do. You could do it. I could do it. Just make a little time to sit down behind a microphone. So I did that for a while. And then when this came along, Father Wittenbrink has since passed away. He lived to be right around 100. But his successors contacted me and explained what beep baseball is. There's a larger ball, and it makes a beeping sound. And doing it that way, they're able to make contact with the bat, and the fielders are able to tell where the ball is headed. There's all kinds of different rules, which I can't get into now, that make it plausible to play a game this way. And so they put together a video, and they asked me to introduce it on camera and to narrate it, and that's what I did. And it didn't take all that much time. Everybody else, it's like with all the charity stuff. It's like with Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. What you do because of name recognition helps, but the amount of work that you do, in this case me, compared to those who actually have to do the heavy lifting, is very small.
As Bob mentioned, beep baseball is an adaptive form of baseball. It's for athletes who are blind or visually impaired. The Beep Baseball Association World Series will be in the St. Louis area. It's going to take place July 20th through the 26th next month at the Glen Ed West Soccer Complex in Edwardsville and the Reininger Memorial Soccer Park in Caseyville. It's a week-long tournament. Not only do we want you to make you aware of it, but we wanted you to know that Mind's Eye is currently seeking volunteers to help bring this World Series to life. Base judges, field umpires, operators, wellness runners, everybody's crucial in this, Bob. It really is a great team effort, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I wish I was able, schedule doesn't allow it, to attend one of these. I will at some point in the future. I've had it described to me, and it's a fascinating thing that they are actually able to make this work with all the concessions that have to be made to the limitations of the players, but they're actually able to make it work.
You can go to mindseyeradio.org, mindseyeradio.org/World Series to learn more on their website.
Yeah, and people, go ahead, Bob.
Well, while you're talking about this, Tom, this occurs to me. When you've been around as long as I have, everything sparks a connection to something else. And I was once interviewing Ray Charles for an NBC News magazine in the 1990s. And as most of your listeners know, Ray Charles was a great musical genius who had been blind since he was 4 or 5 years old. And in the course of this conversation, he says, "You know who I'd like to meet?" And I'm thinking, "You're Ray Charles. You can meet anybody you want." I say, "Who?" He says, "Vin Scully." Ray lived in Los Angeles at that time. And he said, "Could you introduce me to Vin Scully?" I said, "I'm sure I could arrange that, but why Vin Scully?" He said, "You have to understand, I'm a big baseball fan, but the picture means nothing to me. It's all about the sound. And Vin's broadcasts are A, almost musical, but B, they're so beautifully detailed that I can picture the game." And so, in this era where everything seems to be on TV or it's on YouTube or whatever, we forget that a radio broadcaster, a good radio broadcaster like John Rooney these days with the Cardinals and others, should actually broadcast the game as if they were broadcasting to someone who cannot see it. Now, you have a monitor, even if you're on the radio, in case there's a replay or some kind of dispute or whatever it might be. But you should describe it as if television doesn't exist, because there's a portion of your audience, even though someone's just driving down the road, they're not watching TV, but there's another portion of your audience that can't see it to begin with and treasures a detailed description.
Bob, I know that you pay very close attention to what's happening during the baseball season, and we obviously are very interested in this Cubs-Cardinals series that's happening at Busch Stadium and the division race. So just a 10,000-foot view as you look at the National League Central, what are you seeing?
Well, this game yesterday at Busch was an incredible game. Amazing. And the Cardinal lineup, which seemed a little flat for a while at the beginning of the season, is really productive now. You got Sonny Gray, I guess, at the top of the rotation. You got Helsley at the back to close things out. Like most teams, they've got some problems with the rest of the rotation, or at least some question marks. The Cubs looked for a while as if they might distance themselves from the rest of the division. But now the Brewers and Cardinals are in the mix. And I think at the very least, if this continues, the Cardinals have a shot, if not at overtaking the Cubs, then they have a shot at a wild card spot. There's 3 wild card spots now. And in many seasons under this format, 86, 87 wins could sneak you in to the postseason. So I just looked at the standings before coming on. There are only 5 teams out of 15 in the National League that aren't playing 519 ball or better. 10 of the 15 teams are significantly above 500. All of them are somewhere in the mix for 6 playoff spots.
And Bob, one of the reasons the Cardinals are in this wild card race, or that could end up being a path for them, one of the reasons is the Braves are just not having a good season, an unexpectedly down year for them. Are you surprised with how that is going?
Well, of late, they've bounced back a little bit.
Yeah.
It may be too late because they dug themselves a very large hole. But of late, they've bounced back. They've been beating up on the Mets of late, and the Mets somehow have relinquished first place and have lost 10 of their last 11. You know, you look at the super team, supposedly the Yankees, the Mets, spending all the money. The Yankees have lost 9 of 12. The Mets have lost 10 of their last 11. But as every fan knows, it's the long haul of the season that tells the story. So the Braves, I guess, if they really put on a spurt, might be able to sneak into a wild card spot. They're playing much better now, but they may have left themselves too big a deficit to really overcome. And it was only 2 years ago, in 2023, when the advanced stats showed that they had perhaps one of the 5 or 6 most productive lineups, top to bottom, in the history of baseball, compared to league average at each position. All 9 of their starters was performing at above league average level. There were no dead spots in their lineup at all. But then Acuna got hurt again. Chris Sale now is out for a while. They lost Max Fried in free agency to the Yankees. That's the nature of modern baseball. You hardly ever are able to keep the same core of a team together for a 5 or 6 year stretch.
Bob, the Cardinals right now are playing a brand of baseball that I think the fans like and appreciate. And I think we may see a bump in the attendance tomorrow. I'm hearing some good numbers for the day game tomorrow, and we've had a few here and there. But for the most part, we've seen a lot of empty seats at Busch Stadium. Now, have you ever seen it like this? Obviously, you came in the 70s, and it was a down period. And then post Whitey Herzog and before the Bill DeWitt era, there were some down years as well. Do you recall something like this? And what do you observe about what the Cardinals are going through?
Well, the Herzog era turned it around. Then there was a fallow period in the 90s after Whitey resigned and before La Russa showed up. And that's not a knock on Joe Torre. He didn't have the material to work with. And as soon as he got it in New York, you saw what happened with that great run for the Yankees. So, yeah, I've been around long enough to have seen it, but it's certainly not the norm. A team that has averaged in a mid-sized market, a team that has averaged $3 million every year, year after year. I think I saw earlier this season a projection of $2.3 million. But to your point, that may get a bump up, not just because the one-loss column looks better, but the team is playing with a different energy. They seemed flat early in the season, and that connected to a narrative in the offseason that had some fans saying they haven't done enough. They haven't been aggressive enough on the trade market or in free agency to really improve their team. But when you see a team winning, as they are now, and winning in exciting fashion, there's energy to the way they play, then that can change the narrative.
Bob, I know that the way things are going in the Central, we've been talking about the division and where the Cardinals are and potentially a wild card spot for them. So we'll be paying very close attention, of course. Is there a team that is surprising you this year, or is there, I know we're not even halfway through yet, but is there a race or a team that is not going the way you thought it would be going at the halfway point?
You know, did anyone think that anybody could be worse than last year's White Sox? Here's your answer: yes, the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
You know, I feel so bad for Bud Black, who's a great baseball man, and actually had them in the playoffs several years ago in 2018. They gave him a vote of confidence when the team's record was something like 6-30 or something like that. They gave him a vote of confidence on Friday, and then on Saturday they lose 21-0 to San Diego, and they fire him on Sunday, which probably felt to him at that point like a reprieve from the governor. Thank you, I'm out of here. Pay me the rest of the contract. I don't have to watch this mess on a night-in, night-out basis. So I don't think I'm surprised that the Rockies are in last place in the West, because all the other four teams in the division are, at least in theory, contenders. If the Dodgers win the division, as expected, the Giants, the D-backs, and the Padres all have wild card shots. But I am surprised at just how bad the Rockies have been.
I would like to point out for people who have not been paying close attention, the Rockies on June 25th have still not even won 20 games yet. It's
last year. Yeah. How many did the White Sox lose last year? 121, maybe?
Was it? I thought it was 122.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Whatever it might have been. And you would have thought, just like the 1962 Mets, who were 40 and 120, had a chance to lose 122, but two games were rained out and weren't made up. You thought that record would stand forever. At least what they had going for them was that was their first year as an expansion team, and they were lovable losers. No one cared. The Yankees were the mighty Yankees, and across town in Queens, the Mets were amusing everybody with Casey Stengel as their manager, and half the time Casey was falling asleep in the dugout, and that gave rise to all kinds of lovable and amusing stories about this motley collection of players. But modern teams don't have that excuse. The White Sox weren't lovable; they were just inept. same thing with the Rockies. Although their attendance actually hasn't cratered, because they tell me that people just like coming to that ballpark. It's a pleasant atmosphere to come to that ballpark. But it isn't so pleasant when your team is losing 21-0.
This is Hall of Fame broadcast. A couple things left for Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Costas. By the way, Hall of Fame 2018, Baseball Hall of Fame, one of the best days of my career, and I know it was absolutely one of yours. I have not been back since I saw you go in. What is it like to go back to Cooperstown, having gone through that ceremony and being in the wing of the Hall of Fame?
Well, I go back almost every summer. I've missed a few. It's just great to be around, not just the ceremony, but the lobby and the veranda of the Otesaga Hotel overlooking the lake. And you see all, not just the present inductees, but the old-time players. You see Sandy Koufax talking with Al Kaline, who has since passed away, or Johnny Bench talking to a new inductee. And explaining what it means. And Johnny does this still with every new inductee. Look around. Take 5 minutes. Just think about the company you're joining and the history that you're now part of. And, Cooperstown, and you've been there, it's like time stands still in Cooperstown. There's just an incredible feeling, the history of it, but also the appreciation of what that history means. And when you get to be a tiny part of it, you've seen this, Tom. They have a really cool part of the museum itself, which is called Mic Men and Scribes. And those writers and broadcasters who have been inducted, there's a small plaque for each of them and a small biographical sketch beneath it. And in my case, when you think that you have joined the company of Jack Buck and Harry Carey and Ernie Harwell and Vin Scully and Mel Allen and Red Barber, it's both thrilling and humbling.
I'm certain it is. One more thing, and that is, every time the Cards and Cubs get together in the summer, I think your name comes up because of the Sandberg game. And we just passed the anniversary of June 23rd. Mm-hmm. This is for the Cubs fans in the audience, all right? We've given the Cardinals fans all they need. I know we have Cubs fans in the audience, but the 12-11 Cubs win, 2 home runs by Sandberg off Suter. Willie McGee hit for the cycle. You talk about a crazy game. That was it right there.
Many people still say it's the greatest regular season game they've ever seen on television or attended. And what makes it that way? Obviously, since then, in the 41 years since then, there have been regular season games that were chock full of highlights and that were crazy back and forth and late heroics and high scores. Yes, but the difference here was that was the NBC game of the week when that mattered. Now you have access to almost everything. Highlights, if you buy the package, you can watch any game no matter where you live. So nothing really feels like the game of the week anymore. But back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, if you lived in Montana, let's say, that was the only game you had access to all week long. That was your only time to see Fernando Valenzuela face Johnny Bench or Pete Rose. And so this happened to be the game of the week. It went to the entire country. It also marked Ryne Sandberg as a star, kind of a coming out party. He had 5 hits that day, 2 of them home runs, as you say, off Suter, which could never happen today, because why do you put Suter in the game like in the 7th and he was still pitching in the 10th? That wouldn't happen today. And the visual of Suter taking the throw back or new baseball back from the umpire and kind of snatching it with his glove in complete disgust. How did this happen to be twice? Once in the 9th and again in the 10th, and the ball went to almost exactly the same place in the bleachers on a beautiful sunny day at Wrigley Field. You had all the elements. If it had been the Cubs against somebody else, it might have been less. But it was the Cardinals against the Cubs, and all those bold-faced names on both teams. Ozzie made a bunch of eye-popping plays. Like you said, Willie McGee hit for the cycle and wasn't even the player of the game because of what Ryne Sandberg did. So that marked Sandberg as an MVP candidate, and he did win the MVP. And it also marked to a national audience the notion that, wait a minute, the Cubs are not lovable losers this year. They've got a chance. And in fact, they came within a game of making it to the World Series. So you had all those elements thrown together that made it so memorable. There may be more, but to my knowledge, there have been 3 different documentaries done about that game. People just can't get enough of it. And last year, on the 40th anniversary of the game, they unveiled a statue at Wrigley Field, a statue of Ryne Sandberg. And Ryne asked me to come and introduce him, which was a great honor. And as you may know, Ryne's been having a very difficult time.
Yeah.
They thought that his cancer was in remission, and now it's come back. So we're all thinking of him and hoping for the best.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to hear your voice on KMOX, and we're so glad that you're lending your voice to a great cause. The 2025 Beep Baseball Association World Series will be here in the St. Louis area July 20th through the 26th. Bob, thank you very much for being with us today. It's great to have you on the Gashouse Gang.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate him. Bob Costas.
He's the best.
KMOX alum. There he is. We're proud of him.
Hey, he brought up the Colorado Rockies. So if you were a Cardinals fan and you've gone to every home game this year, you've seen 26 wins at Busch Stadium. Do you know how many wins Rockies fans have seen at their stadium? And keep in mind, they've played about 80 games.
I was just in Denver, and when I mentioned baseball, they all kind of turn and look away. They can't.
They have won 8 games at home.
Oh, my.
8. It's June 25th.
Pain. That's a homestand for some teams. They'll win
Lord.
8 in a homestand.
They're 8-30.
Wow. We're going to come back and talk a little more about Cards Cubs, and then at 12:45 we shift to hockey. Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, will be with us, another KMOX alum. Back in a moment on the Gashouse Gang. We're sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fira Capital Management for Your Retirement Highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
94 degrees in St. Louis, feels like 104. Heat advisory in effect until 9 o'clock tomorrow night. The weather brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning and Electrical.
In the 70s, baseball player Jerry Kelly decided to do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
This year, the company Jerry started decided we'd do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air and Electrical.
And electrical.
JerryKelly.com.
Zero Res wants to help you clean your home or business. Big summer savings with 3 rooms clean starting at just $129. $75 off your air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the Dave Glover KMOX special.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better, Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Graybar does that.
Named one of Newsweek's world's best hospitals for 2025, Anderson Hospital is your hospital for life, delivering exceptional, compassionate care to families across the Metro East. From emergency services to specialized treatments, our dedicated team supports your health at every stage. Experience world-class care close to home. Discover the difference at andersonhospital.org.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler for Supplement Superstores, but more specifically 213 Complex, which is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement on the market, and they always have top of the line at Supplement Superstores. So what I'm getting that I like the most is the appetite control, the cravings control, but I'm also getting the boost to the metabolism that lasts 24 hours a day. I'm getting the all-day focused energy, lowering those cortisol levels too, which can help you get a more restful night's sleep. So go to Supplement Superstores, tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you, and you'll get 30% off the 213 Complex. You can find your Supplement Superstores at supplementsuperstores.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey guys, it's Dave. Right now, get 50% off your windows. That's half off plus no interest and no payments for 12 months and a free entry door with your window purchase. Call 314-334-2522. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's more than a game. It's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands. Because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody, it's our favorite song.
This is former Cardinal and Navy Lieutenant Mitch Harris. Salute those who serve. Join the Cardinals on Friday, July 11th for Military Appreciation Night, presented by Boeing. With a special themed ticket, fans will take home an exclusive Cardinals 40-ounce tumbler, honoring all 6 military branches. Arrive early for a powerful pregame concert by the U.S. Air Force Band on the Budweiser stage. And best of all, a portion of each ticket benefits USO Missouri. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/theme. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA. So we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gashouse Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Next pitch to Burley is hit high in the air to center field. That is deep, backing up Armstrong, who makes the catch against the wall. He doesn't know how many outs there are. He makes a huge mistake. Coming in from second base is Mason Wynn on the error by Crow Armstrong in center field.
Great call by Ricky Horton on KMOX last night as the Cardinals got their 8th and final run in the 4th inning on that play and end up winning the ball game 8-7 over the Cubs with Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman.
You know what? Billy Haywood would have benched him for a play like that. Anybody get the reference?
Yeah.
Do you? Oh, I know Pajeski does. Billy Haywood is the child manager in Little Big League.
I heard you talking to Amy about it earlier.
And
See, I listen to the show.
So this is a new audience on the Gashouse Gang. Billy Haywood he inherits the Minnesota Twins, and so he makes himself the manager of the team, and he's like 12 years old. In the movie, his mother is played by Pete Crow Armstrong's mother. She's an actress.
I heard you and Amy talking about that earlier
so that's
on the show. Yeah.
So Billy Haywood would not have put up with that yesterday.
No.
From Pete Crow Armstrong.
Even if it was Pete Crow Armstrong, get him out.
That's right. Sit him down.
That was unfortunate. Let's say for old PCA, who will be back at it tonight at 6:45. We were going to have Chris Kerber. We promoted him. Something's come up work wise, according to the team. So all good.
You think he's in trouble?
No, he's fine.
Okay. Do you think he'd let us know?
It's a fair question. Yes, my investigative hat is on, and I don't sense any issue.
I'm going to find out
based on the text I received.
We need to get Sean Malone on the case.
We'll try to get him on Friday. We can't get him tomorrow because of a day game. I am hearing that the tickets are selling briskly for this game tomorrow.
Good. That's good. I had a friend from Chicago who was in town last night for the game, and he texted and he said he was a little surprised that there weren't very many people there. And so we sort of talked about how it's been going the last few years, and fewer people have gone. They're still getting good crowds that a lot of teams would die. There are teams that would die for 27,000 that just don't get that many per night, and that is considered a down crowd for the Cardinals. And we talked about it, and I said, I think part of it is, clearly it's been a trend over the course of several years, but the weather, they were literally telling us to stay home unless you absolutely had to go out because the heat is so extreme, and we have the heat advisory until 9 o'clock tomorrow. So it's interesting that you're getting a day game where it's going to be the hottest and people are coming out. And it has to be because, in part, this is a really fun team to watch, and they're playing their biggest rival. So they got treated to a really great game last night, one of the best games of the year so far, and now they're almost at the halfway point, and I'm hoping we have a lot more of those left, especially in September. It'd be great to be playing some games like that in September, games that really matter for the standings.
It is interesting right now, and we just had a comment that the NL Central maybe deserves more respect than it gets. Teams in the Central, says Mark, have more total wins than any other division in baseball, despite the poor Pirates. And Bob just referred to the standings as well. The Cardinals are up there pretty high right now, but there's so much competition in the National League. It is actually very difficult this year to get a wild card. You've got the Mets, the Giants, and the Brewers all in there right now with your division leaders, Dodgers, Phillies, Cubs. Here come the Cardinals, but the Padres are a half game behind the Cardinals. The Reds are involved in this thing. So you got a lot of teams that you're going to have to get around just to get a wild card. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm going after that division if I can, which brings up what happens at the trade deadline. I don't know. We got to see if the Cardinals are in contention at that point. It will not be like the Cardinals to trade any prospects. I think you could forget about that. They do have a load of catchers, I will say that, outside of Pius and Pozo. I'm talking about Crooks, Bernal, obviously Herrera. So, in theory, you could look to deal somebody at that position, but I don't know, man. I don't know that the Cardinals right now are in any mood to start swinging huge deals at the deadline. They'll do something to help themselves, but nothing blockbuster.
I'd probably be disappointed if they did. Whatever they do at the deadline, I don't care if they are 2 games back, 5 games up in the division, or if they are in a wild card spot. I don't care. I do not want them to overextend themselves to make a deal at the deadline unless they're making a trade that is helpful to them next year and or the year after that. It cannot be a rental. The Cardinals are just not in position this season to go get themselves a rental player for the stretch. They're just not. That's not the kind of team I would want to do that to. I look, the players themselves in that dugout, they would love for the Cardinals to add a significant piece, because every time that happens and you're on the team, your feeling is, oh, man, they believe in us. They believe in us so much. They went and got this player. But I just don't. This is not the team. This is not the iteration of the Cardinals I want to see them do that. If they make a deal that helps them in the future, great, do that. But don't overextend yourself and deal away any assets on a short-term prospect. I would not play around with that. And I don't think they have, like you said, the appetite to do that. I just don't think that's what they're going to do. It's either going to be they go the rest of the season with what they have in-house right now at the big league level 40-man roster, minor leagues, whatever. Or maybe they trade something away that they can do without. But otherwise, I think this is about what you're looking at for the rest of the year for them.
I do think the Cubs will be aggressive, and I think the Reds might be. They have Terry Francona as their manager, and
they're in a different situation.
That means they want to, get this thing going here. They're not. They still are developing, but they want to win too.
Well, Tom, we talked about this. The Reds do not hire Terry Francona. More importantly, he's not taking a job, I don't think, unless he has some sort of assurance that they're going to be aggressive if they're in the hunt.
That's exactly
Why else
right.
would you take that job if you're him?
The Cardinals have won 7 of 8. They are averaging 6.8 runs per game with 15 home runs during that span. This team has bulked up. When we come back, we're going to give you some more stats like that I think will open your eyes about how good this team is. And Ollie told us a couple weeks ago when I asked him, how are you doing this by not hitting home runs? He said, making contact, obviously, but he also said, we're not even close to where we want to be offensively. Hinting there was more to come. He was right. This team is starting to deliver at the plate more than they ever have. We'll come back in just a moment. The Gashouse Gang on KMOX with Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. Cards Cubs Week here on KMOX.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This is National Cancer Survivor Awareness Month, and we are joined by Dr. Lindsay Peterson.
Their emotional needs, they are financial needs, they are physical needs, spiritual needs. So really we have to look to address all of these different areas because they can be quite impactful for patients throughout their journey.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
The legends ride again. Willie Nelson and the Outlaw Music Festival is rolling back into St. Louis June 28th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Don't miss the living legends, Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, along with Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, and more, live right here in St. Louis. This is country the way it was meant to be. Tickets are still available, so get them before they're gone. More information can be found at KMOX.com/events.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, HIMS can help. Through HIMS.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at HIMS.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to HIMS.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. Trustandwill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey in studio with Gloria Liu, broker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and St. Louis's real estate expert. Gloria, while most agents make big promises, you're known for your upfront written guarantees.
My name is My Promise. While many agents promise you an unrealistic sales price just to get your business, I'll provide you with an upfront written guarantee stating if I cannot sell your home for 100% market value, I'll pay you the difference.
Gloria, that's what sets you apart from others and why I recommend you. Folks, why risk working with just any agent when you can work with the best? Gloria Liu guarantees your sale price upfront and in writing.
Absolutely. And if I don't, I will pay you the difference. The agent you choose in this changing market matters and could cost you or make you thousands.
Sell your home with certainty, confidence, and for 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference. Call 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Now, back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling and by Anderson Hospital on 104.1 FM KMOX.
And the one-strike pitch is hit in the air down the right field line. Moving over towards the stands is the Cardinal right fielder, Burleson, and he makes the catch up against the screen. What a play by Alec Burleson, who's caught in the net right now.
I just love that call. I love that call by Ricky. Like, he can't believe what he's seeing. He's caught in the net right now.
There was a lot of I can't believe what I'm seeing last night. Wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, the trip from second to home by Mason, a great play by Arenado at the end, two great plays by Burley, including that one. That one, I jumped out of my seat. I mean, that was just a wow play by Alec Burleson, who he can move. He's not fast, but he can move for a big man, and he's a good fielder. He's got a great arm. That really is what is his best defensive asset. But what a play, what a fearless play. And then, of course, the great confident play by Arenado at the end. Cardinals are playing some good D right now, and the Cubs are not. I mean, that was just not a good play by Pete Crow Armstrong. And overall, the Cardinals are just outplaying the Chicago club.
And I don't know if we realize, we have not really talked about just how close that Arenado play was from being the tying run.
Yes.
It was like an eighth of a step. That was very, very close.
A nice job by Contreras stretching and getting it, and the Cardinals get the ball game won. Amy says, I was at the game last night. I'll be 50 in the fall, and I've been to many Cardinals games, but this is the first time ever being at a Cubs game. She says the place was electric, had so much fun. It was electric. And by the way, how about that for an attendance of 29,545? That's the announced attendance, which we know is larger than the actual attendance.
Right.
Think about that place at 47,000 packed. That's a loud crowd, just about half. So it could get exciting here if this thing starts to pick up a little bit. But yeah, that was absolutely an exciting day yesterday. A great job by Burley. These guys are just putting together a fun effort. It's a brand of baseball that I think everyone is really enjoying. The pitcher tonight for the Cardinals is Eric Fetty. Fetty is a lot better than you think, maybe even better than I thought when I dove into the numbers, because over his last 8 starts, he only has a 1-3 record. He's only won one game over the last 8 starts. So you look at that and you say, what is he doing? He has a 2.53 ERA over those 8 starts. Opponents hitting .227 against him. He might walk a few too many people for my taste, but that's a really good earned run average. And the Cardinals haven't really supported him. In the win, they scored 10 runs. In the other 7 outings, a total of 17 runs. So if they support Fetty, I think this guy's a good veteran pitcher that you like having in your rotation. And in his last start, he went 5, gave up 2 runs, 1 earned, and got the win.
It is always
he had no decision, but the Cardinals got the win.
It is a fascinating thing to me when there's a particular starter that for whatever reason, and I don't think there's a I don't think there's an explanation for it other than just dumb luck, because it's not the starter's fault if your offense doesn't score for you. But to have a guy who does pitch well, and his last couple of starts have been okay. I mean, 5 1/3 against the Brewers. Well, let's go back to the Dodgers. 5 1/3 against them. Scoreless outing. 3 runs against the Brewers, 5 1/3, and then 5 innings against the White Sox, and only gave up 1 earned. But there is it's interesting. A former Cardinals pitcher, Jose Quintana, had this stretch of about a 2 or 3 year period where he was pitching just lights out and could not find a win to save his life, and it wasn't his fault. So it's weird that happens, but it does happen, and it has to be so frustrating if you're that starter.
Matthew Boyd's really good. The lefty, 6-3 with a 2.84 ERA. One thing about Boyd to watch tonight, he pitched 5 innings, gave up 2 runs. He was pulled because he caught a line drive to his left shoulder in the last game against the Mariners.
He caught the ball right as it hit his shoulder. It was really weird, but he caught it, but he came out of the game. It forced him out.
His shoulder stiffened up. It was a bruise. He has recovered, but something to watch tonight. Cardinals and Cubs. For Chris Ranji, Matt Pajeski, I'm Tom Ackerman. Thanks to Bob Costas for joining us today on the Gashouse Gang. You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an